what seems clear, including based on what President Trump just said, is that it's not a final deal. It's really just an agreement to keep talking. And it sets up a 60-day period for negotiations over the tough terms that Iran has not yet agreed to, like transferring out the enriched uranium that it has, like agreeing not to enrich uranium further. And Iran has at times said it's not going to do that because it has an absolute right to enrich uranium. So this could be a tough negotiation that could easily collapse. Another thing that could collapse it is the fact that Israel is not a part of this deal. And Iran has always said if Israel continues attacks and violence in Lebanon, then the whole deal does not work. And so those are just a couple of the things that could cause the deal to fail.
In addition, David, the president said, my deal is a wall to a nuclear weapon. In 2015, the president criticized the nuclear deal that then President Obama and other countries made, calling that amateur hour. What's the difference, based on what we know, between that deal and this one when it comes to nuclear ambitions?
Well, I want to be fair to President Trump because we have not seen the exact terms of this deal. But what we are hearing suggests it's not all that different from the JCPOA. And I think President Trump needs to consider the JCPOA as a floor. He can't go below what President Obama achieved because he was so critical of what President Obama did by signing the JCPOA. And when you hear things like that, there are terms such as Iran getting $300 billion in reconstruction funds. That seems to be the type of thing that Trump was critical of the JCPOA about, because the JCPOA released billions of dollars to Iran in return for Iran giving up its nuclear weapons program and submitting to inspections. And so these terms are very odd given President Trump's criticisms, but let's see, maybe he can negotiate something better than the JCPOA. I would note President Obama was talking about this recently, and he said he doesn't think he'll get anything better.
Anything stand out to you about his comments regarding other EU leaders? He said they think I was right when he was asked about the worldview and the situation in the Middle East. As they meet at this summit, do you expect to hear more from them in terms of support for the deal?
Well, I think they are very hopeful the deal will work out. They're probably also somewhat skeptical given the confusion around what are the terms, but it would very much benefit the other G7 members if there is a permanent deal and the Strait of Hormuz is reopened, and they're hoping for that. But I think they also recognize that they can't control President Trump. He's not going to listen to them, and he's going to choose his own path. I would also note, though, that the G7 leaders tried to get President Trump to focus on a different crisis. Let's put Iran behind us. Let's focus now on Ukraine, Russia, which is very important to the G7 members in Europe. And President Trump did say some positive things about Ukraine. There is a statement coming out from the G7 that is supportive of Ukraine and President Zelensky. And there's the possibility of more sanctions to put additional pressure on Putin to force him to the table and to make reasonable compromises that could lead to a deal between Ukraine and Russia.
And in that video, you can see President Zelensky there, and President Trump also, David, noted that he had a good conversation with both Zelensky and Putin on that matter. Thank you for your time, David Tafuri. As always, good to see you.
Thanks, Marnie.